Good morning, good morning. We are past our medium protein phase, but we are still not cut into regular diet. I do think that my digestive system is picking up just fine. I've had my movements every morning. However, they've been fairly small. Makes sense because I haven't been eating very much. There is one thing that I messed up yesterday. I forgot to mindfully eat. I had my whole portion set out, and when I got to lunch with the whole can of salmon and 2 cups of broth, I actually maxed out somewhere around an 8 as far as full, and I completely forgot that that's not what I was supposed to do. Even though I'm tracking my macros, that doesn't turn me into a clean your plate girl. That's not good for the psychological mindset of what I was trying to do. So I had to backtrack, go back through, remember that even when I'm in the nodes, I'm still supposed to mindfully eat. You can put things as leftovers, you can use it as an excuse to make a snack later, whatever you want to do, but definitely not the other way around. So I did a little bit of adjustments in yesterday's eating schedule. Dinner ended up being green tea with a scoop of marine collagen in it, and I had 2 boiled eggs along with the chicken portion that I had picked out. So my macros ended up a little bit different. Now, something else is that as soon as I did eat, and it was still under 1,000 calories, so my weight jumped back up to 156.4. Now, this is another reason why we ignore the scale. I am fully aware that in the last 4 days I've consumed less than 2,000 calories. I know that I did nothing that would reasonably get me to gain over 4 pounds of fat in a day eating chicken breasts, broth, and boiled eggs. No, I didn't. But this is when a lot of people kind of lose their minds and they give up and they go eat chocolate cake and they're like, it must just be my metabolism. I can't lose weight. Bull honky. No, 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 no. I felt completely fasted. My whole body was telling me that I was definitely in a fast, definitely in a cut. But because I was very hydrated, you can actually gain weight or maintain weight in a complete water fast, just maintaining your hydration right. And so I was very hydrated. I was weighing myself later in the day. And so just your morning weight is going to be different than your evening weight because you haven't eliminated or processed anything. You haven't urinated and everything from the night before. There's also something called a glycogen reflex. A refill, I'm sorry. And any increase in protein or calories after a cut restores the glycogen to the liver and the muscles, which pulls in additional water. So it's actually just a normal process. If you're going from a cut that you're increasing your calories, your weight might fluctuate, but you still need to increase those calories. We're not going to keep living on a 600 calorie a day diet. That doesn't make any sense. We were doing that for the autophagy, we were doing that for the mindfulness, we were doing for that for the cravings reset, and now we're moving into regular foods. We're just trying to make sure that digestion stays nice and on track while we move back into things. So I'm trying to kind of keep it on the keto level. I'm keeping my carbs super low because I'm trying to drag out some of the weight loss poundage and stuff like that too. But for the most part, we're really just trying to ease digestion back into being able to keep it self-regulated. You should be eliminating once a day. I'll say it that way. So now that we're moving on, and we know that we're just fabulous and that's why we gained that weight back, we go ahead and just take care of things as though nothing had happened, and you're just going to go ahead and see that weight not only come off, but you'll keep diving down. It's not even a plateau, it's not even a step back. You're fine, actually, if something like that happens. So today's diet, I'm going to try to stick to mostly still soft proteins. I am moving in eggs, but I'm also, I had that last night because I was hungry. I felt like I couldn't really sleep, and so I just went ahead and boiled some eggs after everything just because, if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. That's definitely what's going to happen. I didn't care what the scale said. I was hungry, so I had 2 eggs after the scale said that. And I woke up this morning, and it was already down to 154.9 because I slept, and that still isn't quite accurate because I was all the way down into the 153 range when I weighed myself the morning before, and you do burn more than 1,000 sitting calories a day. So we know that we're still on a calorie deficit. We just let our mind, again, just because something is reading the wrong way and we're inputting it and we see it, our brains have this tendency to take everything kind of literally and just freak out over the facts and information, and we'll just be like, oh, there must be some kind of ghosty ghost feeding me donuts in the middle of the night. You're actually just fine. So today, moving on, I am going to be working on making my high protein soup. I'm going to go ahead, and even though I still have some of the broth left, I'm going to go ahead and use that too. I'm going to get an organic chicken for my next chicken just to see if there's a difference in the two broths, because I have some of the non-organic broth and I'm going to make some organic broth, and then I'm going to do a little side-by-side comparison to see if there's a difference in the days when I have organic chicken versus not organic chicken. But today, I'm going to move on with red meat and eggs. Now, it could be any red meat. I'm choosing a 2/3 pound grass-fed beef patty with 85% protein, 15% fat. That is not a low fat, but it was cheap. It was at Costco. It's what I could afford. I drain out the fat when I eat it anyway. This is as close as we're going to get to lean meat for this project anyway. I don't really worry about it as long as I include it into my macros. And I'll make, less cheese or a cut somewhere else that'll make that fat fit in. I'm not going to eat the whole beef patty even in one sitting, because I'm just going to be very, very cautious how I'm reintroducing what I consider something that your gut's going to see as hard to digest. So I'm going to have 5 or so eggs, could be more than that, probably won't be less, and one of these patties that's probably going to get cut up and enjoyed with the eggs in little portions through the day, just to keep my digestive tract fine. And I don't even think that it would be a problem if I went straight to a regular diet, but I'm doing this again for the sake of, the whole point is to drag it out as slowly as possible to get the maximum benefits of your fast. And so that is where we're heading. If I do find myself getting more hungry, I probably am going to avoid the chicken broth today, mostly because I'm trying to preserve it for my little test for later. But also, I have green tea, and I'll be mixing that with the collagen. I got, yesterday my marine collagen came in, so I was all excited about that. I can already feel the difference in my skin. So I can say that the very large jug from Amazon was perfectly fine. It was like £3, $70. It was a fantastic deal. I think I was paying $40 for like 10 ounces the previous jug. I thought they were all about the same price. They are not. This was a much better deal, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to go through today, definitely going to make sure I get my exercises in as I've been doing the cardio and everything, and moving on to this hard protein. This is probably going to be my last node before I just switch to mindful eating. But this is just also a reminder that just because you're in a node that tells you you can eat protein and try to get this and, oh, you've done your macros, just because you say you can eat something, when you're in a cut, feel free to leave it on the plate. Feel free to put it for leftovers that you might not finish. Feel free, as long as you're keeping up with some level of your good proteins, as long as you're not swapping it out for a bad treat later, as long as, you could even swap it out for a snack later. Let's say I'm not hungry now, but later I want a snack, I'm hungry. Well, I'm going to make myself a boiled egg. Oh, did the scale go up today? I don't care. If I'm hungry, I'm going to make myself a boiled egg. Where at the end of the day, you have to think about what you're doing and stop being so rigid about the rules. Yes, you can have this for lunch. No, you don't have to have it for lunch. Yes, we are switching to this. No, you shouldn't really do it like in a strict way. It doesn't have to be that way. At the end of the day, what your goals are more important than the official path to get to them. So if you're trying to become a mindful eater, finishing your lunch should never be your intention. Even if your lunch is perfect, mindful eating isn't about finishing perfection. Mindful eating is about adjusting to exactly what your body needs right then to properly fuel itself, to properly go on, to not overfuel to the point where you become sluggish or you start storing extra energy as fat where you don't want it. This is about having absolute control over your body, not getting a certain amount of protein per day. especially not during a cut. If we were doing bulking or something, we could give some opposite advice. But if we're trying to lose weight, feel free to leave a couple bites. Chill and cheers.